They say the best revenge is success. But nobody tells you the strangest part. The strangest part is when the person who broke your heart finally notices you again, and you realize you don't want them anymore. Not because you hate them, not because you're bitter, but because somewhere between the late nights, the quiet mornings, the hard conversations, and the days you didn't feel strong at all, you became someone who finally understood this truth. If somebody needs you to be a different person to love you, they never really loved you. This is Reforged, and this is Bryson's story. Bryson Carter was the kind of man people felt safe around. He wasn't flashy. He didn't dominate conversations. He didn't need attention to feel important. Bryson was warm, thoughtful, the kind of man who listened without interrupting, the kind who remembered birthdays, favorite snacks, and how people took their coffee. But Bryson also carried something heavy, and it wasn't just his body. It was the weight of always feeling like he had to prove his worth. People looked at him and made assumptions. Lazy, unmotivated, comfortable with less. They didn't see the long work days, the bills paid on time, the way he showed up for everybody else even when nobody checked on him. Then Jennifer walked into his life. They met at a rooftop cookout in Atlanta. The city skyline glowed behind her like it was part of the outfit. Jennifer moved with confidence, her posture straight, her smile sharp, her presence loud without saying a word. She wore athletic clothes that looked intentional, like she had just stepped out of a lifestyle magazine. Everything about her said discipline, control, and ambition. When her eyes landed on Bryson, he assumed she'd look away. She didn't. Instead, she smiled and walked straight toward him. She asked him why he was sitting alone like he didn't belong there. Bryson joked his way through the moment, but inside something shifted. For the first time in a long time, he felt chosen. Their relationship started light. Jennifer loved Bryson's humor, his kindness, the way he made space for her emotions. Bryson loved her confidence, her drive, the way she pushed him to think bigger. At first, her suggestions felt like care. She'd encourage him to eat differently, suggest workouts, offer to help him level up. Bryson told himself she just wanted the best for him. But slowly, the suggestions turned into expectations. The tone changed. She'd move food off his plate without asking, comment on his clothes before events, suggest he stay home when she went out with friends. She started saying things like, "I just want us to look like we're on the same level." That word stayed with him. Level. Like love was a ladder. The night everything shifted, they were sitting in a lounge downtown. The lights were low. The music was soft. The atmosphere was expensive. Jennifer looked perfect. Bryson looked clean, put together, and hopeful. She leaned in and told him she needed him to take his health seriously. When Bryson said he already was, she shook her head. She said she was a certain type of woman. She said people judged. She said she couldn't be with a man who didn't match her image. Bryson asked if she meant she was embarrassed. Jennifer didn't answer directly. Instead, she said the words that cracked something open inside him. She said she fell in love with his potential. Not who he was, who he could be. From that moment on, Bryson stopped feeling like her partner. He felt like her project. The pressure grew heavier. Workout videos sent like assignments, comments disguised as concern. Love that felt conditional. Until one night, Jennifer told him she couldn't do it anymore. She said she needed a partner who matched her ambition. Bryson asked if she was leaving because of his weight. She said he was oversimplifying, but he knew. And when she walked out of the apartment, Bryson didn't chase her. He just stood there, alone, feeling like something had finally been confirmed, that he wasn't enough. The weeks after the breakup were quiet in the worst way. Bryson went to work and came home, ate when he wasn't hungry, sat with his thoughts until they overwhelmed him. His cousin Tasha showed up unannounced one afternoon and refused to let him disappear. She told him not to turn inward just because one woman couldn't love him right. Bryson admitted something he'd never said out loud. He was tired of earning love, tired of feeling tolerated, tired of shrinking to fit expectations. Tasha told him to choose himself. Bryson didn't know how, but he knew he needed help. That's how he ended up sitting in a therapist's office for the first time. Dr. Malik didn't rush him. He asked simple questions. What hurt? What he feared? What he believed about himself? And then he asked the one question Bryson couldn't ignore. When did you first learn you had to change to be loved? That question unlocked memories Bryson had buried. His father's comments, classmates' jokes, family laughter that left scars. Bryson realized Jennifer wasn't the source of the wound. She just pressed on something that was already there. Therapy didn't fix him overnight, but it gave him language. It taught him that discipline wasn't punishment, that self-care wasn't vanity, that boundaries weren't selfish. Bryson started small, evening walks, simple meals, honest conversations. Some days he failed, some days he didn't. But for the first time, he wasn't doing it to be accepted. He was doing it to be healthy, to be present, to be whole. His body changed gradually, but the real transformation happened in his mind. He stopped apologizing for existing, stopped laughing things off, stopped bending himself to keep people comfortable. Months later, Bryson didn't recognize the man in the mirror. Not because he looked different, but because he stood differently. One afternoon, after a haircut and a simple errand, Bryson heard his name. He turned and saw Jennifer. She froze. She looked at him like she was seeing him for the first time. She told him he looked amazing. She said she'd been thinking about him. She said she missed them. She asked if they could try again. Bryson listened calmly, and then he said no. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of clarity. He told her something therapy had taught him, that he no longer wanted to be loved for what he could become. He wanted to be loved while becoming. Jennifer didn't understand. She said she cared, but Bryson finally understood something she didn't. Love that arrives after the work is done isn't always love. Sometimes it's entitlement. Bryson walked away that day without looking back, not because Jennifer was a bad person, but because he had outgrown the version of himself who begged to be chosen. That night, standing alone in his apartment, Bryson felt something unfamiliar. Peace. Not loneliness, not regret, just peace. Because the man she left behind didn't come back bitter. He came back healed, and healed men don't return to places that taught them they weren't enough. Sometimes the greatest glow-up isn't physical. It's knowing when to say no,